Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Colt and Posey Fishing. And today we're going to talk about spinnerbaits. Everything spinnerbaits. What spinnerbaits I use, when I use them, so on and so forth. Stay tuned, this is something you don't want to miss. We're talking about spinnerbaits. Everything about spinnerbaits. So I just want to start out with what I use as far as equipment wise. Some of you may already know this, but the ones of you who don't, this is a Duckett Triad 7-foot medium heavy. I like the micro guys just so I can make those very, very accurate casts when I need to, because I'm throwing this around docks, I'm throwing it in pockets, I'm throwing it around timber, so on and so forth. The gear ratio reel that I like to use, I like a 7-something to 1 gear ratio. It doesn't matter. This is a 7.5 to 1. 7.1 to 1's fine, whatever you prefer. But I like that higher speed reel. That way I can cover a lot of water. So one of my favorite spinnerbaits to throw to mimic shad. This is a spot sticker lavender shad spinnerbait. As you can see, this has got 2 silver blades in it. This is one of those spinnerbaits that is awesome during the shad spawn. It mimics the shad very, very well. These spot sticker spinnerbaits, I didn't run anything on them. I take them right out of the package and tie them on, and then I throw them, and that's it. So they've got a really, really nice, true run to them. So like when you're bringing them back to your boat and stuff, they stay very, very true. They look very, very natural in the water. So that's a good one for like during the shad spawn when you really want to mimic those thread fin and stuff like that. Now another one that I really like, let's say you've got a tiny, tiny bit of stain to the water. Maybe it's really, really green. I know a lot of y'all fish lakes that doesn't get really clear, but it gets like a real green color. This is a great one. This is a spot sticker also. Double willow leaf. Now, the biggest difference in this one is the blades are painted. So one side has got, you know, the green gizzard shad color with white, and the other side's got the solid white. I typically throw these on the cloudier days. This just puts off a different contrast in the water, and I believe the fish can see these very, very well. So, you know, on clear, let's just say bluebird, sunny skies, the water's super clear, I want to stick to those more flashy spinner baits. You know, a real natural looking spinnerbait. On those cloudy days, I want something that pops. I want something they can see really far, because I'm running these spot stickers very, very fast. I don't want them to get a really good look at it. All I want them to do is turn and react to it. So, another one that I really like to use. Now, this is during the spring months mostly. So, I throw a Colorado blade a lot, and I use this spinnerbait as far as swapping them out and stuff. This is a War Eagle spinnerbait. It's got the orange kicker blade, solid gold with a white and chartreuse skirt. It's very, very hard to beat. It's a very, very dull spinnerbait. I've always said my whole life, War Eagle spinnerbaits, they're some, in my opinion, they're some of the ugliest spinnerbaits you'll use, but they catch fish. I'm a booyah man. I believe in booyah through and through, but you know, the War Eagles, they catch fish too. So I use theirs for those muddy water situations. During the warmer months, when that water temperature gets up above or at 65 degrees, I'm throwing a big willow leaf blade and then that Colorado kicker right there. Now, what I do during the colder months, let's say 55 to 62 degrees, I take that willow leaf off and I put a Colorado blade on it. That way it gives it a little bit more vibration and thump. But one thing you always need to remember when you're dealing with muddy water, I'm not talking about slightly stained, I'm talking about muddy water. I'm talking about the water is brown. You want to have a gold everything. I want the whole thing being gold. And that's where this bait shines. The wire, the head, the hook, everything is gold. it all goes back to contrast. These fish can see this a lot better. So if I increase their eyesight and put something in front of them, they're going to be able to get it a lot better. That orange kicker blade, all that does is give them a target where they'll get the hook. So what I did last Saturday, I had I fished a little fruit jar tournament up at Bear Creek. The water was muddy. We got some rain the night before. This thing right here really shined that day. I caught a lot of fish off of this thing, just throwing it around willow grass and trees and pockets and stuff like that. They were coming from a long ways to eat this thing. They would hammer it. They were not huge fish, but you could tell they was coming from a long way as hard as they was hitting it. So let's go to another one. Once again, this is just one of those baits. It's more of a confidence bait. I've fished with Colorados my whole life. I really like the Booyah Colorado blade spinner baits. I throw these mainly in the colder months and also in the pre-spawn. One of the reasons that I do throw it in the pre-spawn, if we're talking about stained water, not muddy, not chocolate milk water, it's a little bit of stain. So I'm throwing these Colorado blades. It puts off a lot of disturbance. It moves a lot of water. Just always remember where your spinner baits, your 3/8 ounce, you're going to have to run slower to make that thing stay true. Your heavier, your 1/2 ounce, your 3/4 ounce, your 1 ounce, you can run them faster and faster and faster and faster, and their course stays true. So 90% of the time, I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce. I'm moving slow. I'm putting this thing around cover. But when I do need to speed up for some reason or cause even more disturbance in the water, that's when I go to the 1/2 ounce or the 3/4 ounce. Rarely ever throw a 3/4 ounce. I don't even own a 1 ounce spinnerbait, but you know, a lot of y'all might fish with that. So now we're going to talk about why in the world would I throw a willow leaf and a Colorado blade. So the reason I throw the willow leaf and the Colorado blade combo, in my opinion, that Colorado helps slow this bait down. So if I want to retrieve this at a little bit slower pace but still have that natural movement of the willow leaf, the natural vibration that it gives off, I will throw the Colorado blade. And I'm throwing it in the same areas, you know, docks, riprap, timber, whatever. I mean, you can throw a spinnerbait anywhere. Buckbrush, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But if you're looking to get a little bit of a slower presentation, maybe you feel like the fish want something a little bit slower, get you one with the willow leaf and then the Colorado kicker to help you slow it down a little bit. So the next one I want to talk about is double willow leaves. So we've kind of already touched base on this, but typically when I'm throwing double willow leaves, it's to cover a lot of water. The fish are very aggressive. There's a lot of wind, just something. You'll know when they want it, because 90% of the time during the summer, I will throw a double willow leaf spinnerbait. And I reel this thing so fast that it barely has time to get wet. So as soon as that sucker hits the water, I'm burning it. That's the reason I like a 1/2 ounce, or I will go to a 3/8 ounce, but it's very rare. I like the 1/2 ounce. I want something real tight and compact. I bend the wire as far down as I can. That way I can get that wire closer to the blades or to the hook and stuff like that. It's just one of those things during the summer when they want a spinnerbait, these double willow leaves, and you're burning it, you're going to smoke them on it. It all depends on your lake, so just experiment with it. So the very last one that I want to talk about, and this kind of relates to the shad spawn in a sense, but I throw this year-round, especially during the winter a lot. This is a Booyah quad blade spinnerbait. So it's a 4 willow leaf blade spinnerbait. As you can see, this is a gold color. That's about the only color that I do have. One of the reasons is if I get in really, really clear water with a spinnerbait and I'm having to slow this thing down, in my opinion, I didn't get bit a lot on it. So I keep the gold blades because I'm usually fishing river systems and stuff like that. The Tennessee river systems, I have no idea why, but gold really shines. It does. My experience, it doesn't matter if the water's muddy, it doesn't matter if it's clear, they just like gold for some reason. I don't know if they're greedy or what, but they like gold. So I typically run these things very, very slow, and 90% of the time I'm throwing a trailer hook on them. It just seems to me like a lot of fish short strike these things. So as far as trailer hooks, let me dig this thing out of here. I don't know what hook brands y'all use. I like the Gamakatsu, any of them work. But this is a trailer hook. This is a size 1/0. And basically this rubber thing right here, you push this thing through the hook and this hook drags behind your bait. You got a trailer hook. If they're short swiping it, I'll put this on. A lot of times they're more headache than what they're worth. You catch a lot of grass and debris and stuff like that with it. But if they are short striking it, this is a good way to help you put a few more fish in the boat. Now, another thing that I do during the shad spawn, sometimes when those fish get real finicky, if people's been running like a lot of spinner baits and stuff around them, I will put a different kind of trailer on my swim bait. I use a white Yum breaking shad, and this thing gives off kind of like a blue tint. I don't think y'all can see it, but if you hold it right in front of your face and move it around, this breaking shad puts off a kind of a blue tint. This is a great bait that doesn't have a whole lot of action, but it does have that little flutter when you're running spinner baits and stuff. It gives it a little shake going through the water. I'll take and I'll cut this thing in half, slide it up over my spinner bait, and then bam, you know, I've got a something natural on the back of my spinner bait. But all this stuff, guys, that I always tell y'all, you're gonna have to get on your lake and experiment. If one thing I tell you doesn't work and it's stuck in your head, just swap to something else. Try that. A lot of times you'll get more bites. So guys, that's my setup. That's the spinner baits that I use, how I use them, when I use them, so on and so forth. You know where I use them, everywhere. So don't forget, if the content that I'm putting out for you, if you feel like it's worth your time, hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to go down there and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I appreciate all the support. We'll see you next time.